guys, welcome back to my channel. My name is Maddie and today I'm going to be giving you my January book haul. And I'm sure some of you are thinking, Maddie, didn't you say in October that you weren't going to buy any books for the rest of the year and then you bought 40 books for yourself for Christmas and then now you're doing another haul? And you would be correct. But with the new year, I feel much more motivated to do so. Also, I've got so many books on my own TBR that it's ridiculous at this point, and if I continue to buy books the way I've been buying books, I'm never actually going to be able to read the books that I've already bought. It's just a never-ending cycle, and it's gotta stop. Also, I acquired most of the books that I bought last year off of Book Outlet, and at this point, I've bought so many books from Book Outlet that I've pretty much bought every book on that website that I am interested in. So it's pointless for me to keep buying books that I'm not really even interested in just because they're cheap. So that's where I draw the line. All of that to say, I'm still going to be buying books throughout the year, here and there, whenever new releases come out that I'm particularly excited for and that I've pre-ordered, such and such. But I have no intentions of making another Book Outlet purchase anytime soon, so this is going to be the last one that you see for hopefully a long time. But before I get into the books that I bought from Book Outlet, I do have one book to show you that a friend bought me. Elle from BookishL bought me The Iron Legends by Julie Kagawa. This is a bind-up of 3 different novellas set in the Iron Face series. We are currently doing a buddy read together for this series. It's one of her absolute favorites of all time, and it's my first time reading it, and she wanted to buddy read it with me to know my thoughts on her favorite books, and it's been a really great buddy read. We got done with the first book, and she found out that I did not have this bind-up of novellas, and the first novella is set in between books 1 and 2, and she decided to purchase it for me, so thank you so much, Elle. I just want to say that I really appreciate you and our friendship, and I'm glad that I met you through BookTube. Alright, now into the books that I bought for myself. First, I have The Last Time We Were Us by Leah Conan. This is a YA contemporary romance story, and it follows a girl named Liz whose ex-best friend Jason recently just got out of juvie, and because of his criminal record, this small town views him as a delinquent now, and no one's supposed to have anything to do with him because you're supposed to stay away from those kind of folks. But Liz seems to think that something else deeper was happening in the events that sent Jason to juvie. So she starts seeing him again, and she has to keep it a secret because her family and friends in the town would not approve. Next, I have The Night We Said Yes by Lauren Gibaldi. This is a YA contemporary story, and it's kind of like a coming-of-age / romance. The story follows a teenage girl named Elle who's just trying to make it through high school, and she's also trying to get over a bad breakup with her boyfriend. But then one day, this new boy named Matt moves to town, and she spends an entire night of just doing crazy fun things with him, and he brings her out of her shell, but then suddenly one day Matt leaves town, and Ella is left heartbroken. But then a year later, Matt suddenly comes back to town and he tries to recreate the night that brought them together, but Ella isn't so sure that she wants to give him a second chance. Next, I have Love Song and Other Lives by Jessica Pennington. This is a YA contemporary romance story, and it follows a group of musicians, which if you don't know, I'm a musician, and I love when books have a musical aspect, whether they're playing instruments, whether they're writing songs, whether they're actual performers. I love it all. So if you have any recommendations, leave them in the description for me. But anyway, this book follows a teenage rock star named Virginia Miller, and she is excited to spend a summer full of music because she has been chosen to compete on a Battle of the Bands reality TV show. But there's a catch, because while they're on tour, she's gonna have to share a bus with her ex-boyfriend and first love, Cam, who broke her heart. I'm super excited for this one, and I've never even seen it before. I've never heard anyone talk about it. I don't even think I've looked at the ratings for this one, but it sounds exactly like my cup of tea. Next, I have Spare and Found Parts by Sarah Maria Griffin. This is a YA steampunk story, which I'm excited for because I don't think I've read a steampunk novel except for The Infernal Devices by Cassandra Clare, but that's also urban fantasy as well, so I don't really know what to expect from this one. But this story follows a cyborg girl whose father is a biomechanical engineer, and this deadly virus broke out, and I guess a lot of people lost limbs. So her genius dad figured out how to make biomechanical limbs in order to save people's lives, including his own daughter. But the main character has always felt disconnected from the world, and so she decides to make her own invention. Rather than just creating biomechanical limbs, she decides to create a whole person. That kind of reminds me of the Disney Channel movie How to Create a Better Boy. I think that's what it's called. I'm intrigued. Next I have Briar Rose by Jane Yolen, and this is a retelling of Sleeping Beauty. However, it's also a historical fiction story set in the Holocaust. And right there, I'm super intrigued, because how do you write a fairy tale retelling in such a devastating and horrific setting in history? I don't know how to further explain this story except to read part of the back. It says, in the heat of midsummer 1942, deep in a forest in the heart of Poland, Briar Rose arrives at a castle that has fallen into the hands of an evil army. Corrupted by dark deeds and choked by a poisonous mist, the castle will soon come to be known as Kelmo Extermination Camp. In that place of death, Briar Rose is plunged into a deep sleep. Well, that sounds depressing. Next, I have Nutcracked by Susan Adrian. This is a short little Christmas retelling of the Nutcracker, and I love the story of the Nutcracker, and this Christmas I had my eye on this one, and I really wanted to read it, but I didn't own it, so when I saw it on Book Outlet, I decided to go ahead and buy it. But now I feel like I have to wait a whole nother year till next Christmas to read it, so it's whatever. Next I have Book of 1,000 Days by Shannon Hale, and this one feels like it's going to be a retelling of Rapunzel, but I'm not quite sure on that one. It's a YA fantasy, and it follows a lady and a lady's maid as they are locked in a tower for 7 years because the lady refused to marry a man that she didn't want to marry. So as punishment, they've been locked in this prison cell tower for 7 years. But then suitors start arriving to the tower, and the lady still doesn't want to marry any of them. So she asks her lady's maid to take her place and assume her identity. And while this lady's maid is pretending to be someone she's not, she ends up falling in love. And of course, because she's not actually a lady, she can't actually marry the person that she's falling in love with. It sounds really good to me, and I've never heard anyone talk about this one, but I read that description and I had to have this book. Next, I have Forest of 1,000 Lanterns by Julie C. Dow. This is a YA fantasy story, and it follows an 18-year-old peasant girl who is destined for greatness. Basically, she has two options of destiny. She gets to decide which path she wants to take. One path leads her to remain in obscurity, but she gets to stay with the boy she loves, and the other path will lead her to greatness as the next empress. However, she will have to embrace the dangerous magic that runs through her veins. So she has to make a decision for herself. Does she want the throne, and is it worth it? Next, I have Tempest and Slaughter by Tamara Pierce. People say it both ways, so I'm not sure which one's correct. This is a YA fantasy story following 3 different characters. All 3 of them are studying to become powerful mages. This book follows them in their lessons and studies of magecraft, as well as the relationship dynamics between the friend group, and one of them is destined for the throne. There's supposed to be a lot of political intrigue and the characters deciding where their loyalties lie, so it sounds like a fantasy I will enjoy. Other than that, I don't know anything about it. But I do know that this is a very well-loved and well-known author, and this book particularly has some fantastic ratings, so I'm excited to know what the hype is about. Next, I have Tess of the Road by Rachel Hartman. This is a companion book to the Seraphina duology, which is a YA fantasy story following shapeshifter dragons. I read the first book, Seraphina, last year and really enjoyed it, and I'm currently on hold for my library's copy of the second book, Shadow Scale, so I'm excited to have this companion novel. That way, once I finish the duology, I can move right on into this one. Next, I have Dance of Thieves by Mary E. Pearson. This is the first book in a companion spin-off series of The Remnant Chronicles by Mary E. Pearson, which I'm currently reading the second book now. I'm really loving the series so far, and the world and the politics of the world are pretty unique compared to the other YA fantasy books that I've read before. So I'm glad I have this one for when I finish the original trilogy, and I mean, come on, look at this beautiful cover. This book appears to have several main characters. It follows a family of outlaws, 3 women who are part of the Rattan, which is the Queen's Guard, and then a renowned thief. The synopsis of this book is very vague, but it does say, when outlaw leader meets reformed thief, a cat and mouse game of false moves ensues, bringing them intimately together in a battle that may cost them their lives and their hearts. I already know I love this author's writing as well as the world that this book is set in, so I know I'm probably gonna love it. Next, I have Imprisoned the Sky by A.C. Goggin. This is the second book in the Elemente series. The first book being Reign the Earth. This is a YA desert fantasy story following a girl who agrees to an arranged marriage to the king of a neighboring kingdom in order to unite their kingdoms. However, there are people in this world called the Elemente who have elemental magic, and her new husband, the king, hates magic. He has completely outlawed magic in his kingdom, and if he finds someone with magic, they're executed, but unbeknownst to him, his new bride has magic herself. So in order to keep herself alive, the main character has to keep her magic hidden from her husband, and I believe they start to fall in love, and so I'm interested to see how it all plays out. I have not read this first book, but I have a very strong feeling I will love it. One, because of the synopsis, but two, I love anything that has to do with elemental magic, hence why I bought the second book. And lastly, to end this haul, I have Dracula by Bram Stoker. This is obviously a classic. If you don't know, it's about a vampire, and it's where we get most of our modern day vampire stories from, except this one doesn't glisten in the sun. I don't read a lot of classics, but the ones that I have read, I've actually enjoyed, and I find that the older I get, the more appreciation I have for the classics that I read when I was younger, even though I haven't reread them since then. So even the ones that I was forced to read in school that I didn't particularly like, I find myself looking back on them more fondly than I did when I actually read them. I just have a greater appreciation and understanding of what the stories are actually about. So I'm trying to build my collection. I love this edition, so I'm excited to have it, even though I probably won't read it anytime soon. Alright, those are all of the books that I bought for myself and one that I received in the month of January. Like I said at the beginning of this video, you probably won't see another one of these anytime soon. I may end up doing seasonal book hauls, but I won't be doing one per month from now on, just because I may only buy one book or no books within that month, so I'm just gonna let them pile up till I get a bigger stack of books to show you guys. And for the most part, I can guarantee you that like 95% of them are gonna be brand new releases. But anyway, let me know in the comments down below if you have read any of these books and what your thoughts were on them. Let me know which ones I should read first. I haven't heard of a majority of these, but they sound really interesting and they sound like books I will like. So if you happen to be someone who has read one of these obscure books that I've never heard of, please let me know what you thought of them. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel if you want to see more bookish content by me. I hope you all have a wonderful day, and I will see you in my next video. Bye.